Hey everybody, Manny Telebear here. We're now on day 87 of the seven-figure climb. And in this video, I'm going to kind of talk to you about how I accidentally got involved in the course creation business. I'm going to give you some insights there. In the last video, we were talking about luck and how luck plays a pretty good sized role in pretty much within reason everything we do. I can tell you, if you get with the wrong person, it'll be very, very hard to scale. If you get with the right person, it'll be very, very easy to scale. In some cases, you're going to be better off being alone than with a spouse. I created, I think, 50 products, and then I met someone, and I was with that person for 2 years and didn't create a single thing. And that person basically did not like me creating courses, didn't want me creating courses, and essentially wanted me to stay stuck. And so luck plays a big role in all of this, like who you meet, who you end up with, how all of these things move. And another thing is, both Dan Kennedy and Jay Abraham, and I think Chet, not Chet, but Frank Kearns also mentioned it. Um, when you ask those people how they end up doing what they're doing, Jay Abraham especially and Dan Kennedy both said it was a series of unfortunate accidents that led to them to where they were, and I'm no exception to that. And so um, within reason, I started studying more. I stumbled onto a Jay Abraham course by accident, and I started studying Jay's material and studied his material for about 5,000 or 6,000 hours before I moved out of that, and I was trying to figure out how to build a consulting business, but that was pre Facebook for the most part. Facebook was newer, and it wasn't what it is now, and there weren't a lot of groups or anything like that. And so I was trying to figure out how to navigate getting in front of people who could ultimately hire me to do consulting. And I was studying marketing every single day. I mean, every single day, I was from the morning to night, I was studying marketing. As a matter of fact, I had moved and I'd taken a job, and I worked the job for about 5 months, and I quit the job because it was really getting in the way of my marketing education. And I quit so I could continue to go through content. And what I figured out, because I'd already built a I had already built a successful business selling on eBay, selling other things, and I had got really good at selling courses and content and things like that, and I was making revenue from that, but I wasn't making enough, and I kind of came to the conclusion I needed to make $300 more a week or $1,200 a month so that I could invest the $1,200 into marketing my coaching and consulting business. And I and I'll be honest with you, the ideas I had there were completely flawed. They probably would never have worked because I was going to be sending cold direct mail content to people who didn't know me. But I felt like in order to do that, I need to be making $1,200 a month more. And so what I decided was I was going to get really, really, really good at making money on eBay, but I was already making money on eBay. And so what I did is I went and I found every course I could find on making money on eBay. Skip McGrath, John Reese, um, Adam Ginsberg. There are several. I bought 5 or 6 of them. I bought everything that had eBay in the title because I knew I'd already figured out how to resell the content back off and make money from it. So I wasn't concerned about losing any money, but I bought all of that information and I went through all of it. And what I determined was that the system that I had seemed to be working better than the systems that these people were showing. Um, and so I was very, very disgruntled because I'd spent all of that money and time, not so much the money, but the time, because like I said, I knew I'd get my money back when I sold them. I'd kind of figured that system out already. And so a friend of mine came by, and what's interesting is I had bought a editing VCR, and I had bought it. I'm not sure why I had the editing VCR in place, but I had an editing VCR and I had a monitor, and I would put and the monitor was essentially a 19-inch TV, and the on-off switch didn't work. You had to plug it in and unplug it, or you could turn it on and off with an ink pen. And the TV was free. I think my brother gave it to me because, like I said, the on and off switch didn't even work. And I think the editing VCR I bought on eBay, and I was just trying to buy a cheap VCR, and I ended up with an editing VCR. And then for some reason, I bought a fade in, fade out machine. I basically set all of this stuff up at my kitchen table. And what I would do is I would go through content. So I was still going through a lot of VHS material. Um, and I would do that while I was eating breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So when I was cooking, I was listening. And when I was eating, I was watching. And I had all of this stuff set up. And my friend came in and we were having a discussion. And he asked me how things were going. And I said, look, not going very well. I spent all of this money and all of this time going through all of this content. And I feel like I could make a better course on making money on eBay than any of these people have created. There was really nothing there. Like there was no IP there that really moved the needle for me whatsoever. And it's interesting because we had this conversation and I said, I could easily probably make a better course than these people did. And then my friend said, well, why don't you? And at this point, and what's very, very interesting, probably $10,000 worth of material in my front room, courses, DVDs, CDs, VHS tapes, every big name marketer you can imagine in every niche. I was buying it, I would study it, and I would sell it off. And I was just getting a doctorate in marketing doing that. And what's interesting with all of the stuff in my front room, it had never dawned on me to create my own course. As a matter of fact, the only thing I wanted to create was a marketing content to send to people in the mail. And my ideas there were really flawed. They never would have worked. And so it's interesting because he walked out of my house, my apartment, and I sat down at that kitchen table and I had a VHS, I had a camcorder I'd also bought on eBay. And what I did is I put a blank VHS tape in this editing VCR. I faded in and I just started talking about how to make money, how to buy and sell on eBay. And I ended up creating Advanced Internet eBay Auction Secrets. And I basically talked for 90 minutes with no interruption, and I faded out. And that was my first product. And that's how I created it. And then what we did is about 2 weeks later, I recreated it and I made it two DVDs instead of one DVD because one DVD, it was 90 minutes and it was easier to make 60-minute DVDs. And so what I did is I made two different 60-minute DVDs, DVD 1 and DVD 2, and I could charge more for it. And when I put that on eBay, it immediately started selling. I mean, it just took off. I mean, I think we had 12 or 15 of them sold before I got got the first one created. And ultimately, that's how I accidentally stumbled on to creating courses. Now, what happened for me, I was very fortunate because I was learning so much about marketing and marketing mindset strategy and copywriting. And I was also at the same time learning to sell on eBay. And so when I created the first product and it immediately took off, it gave me the hunger to create more of them. And I started creating a product every 2 weeks because I didn't know it was supposed to take months and months and months and months to create a product. And I created, and literally every 2 weeks, I would have another one coming out. So I had Advanced Internet eBay Auction Secrets, how to buy a business with little or no money down, how to market how to build a consulting business or how to marketing or coaching or consulting services or something like that. There was a course there. And then I think the fifth or sixth one was how to create and sell information products on eBay. And I was really just spitting them out. I mean, because like I said, I had no mindset that nothing wasn't going to sell. I just assumed, I mean, my thing was I was going to create it and put it on eBay. And I was fortunate because everything I was putting up there was selling really, really well. And I think, after after a period of time, like I said, I created 30 products really, really, really fast. And like I said, all by accident. And ultimately, I mean, I can tell you I was behind the curve going digital. I really was. I mean, I was slow to go digital. I was slow. It's interesting. All of my products, my first 15 or 20 products were sold unedited, and it said unedited in the title because I didn't know how to edit a VHS tape. I would sit down at the camera, I would fade in, and I would talk for 60 minutes, and that would be a disc. And if I screwed up along the way, I would rewind and I would start over and talk for 60 minutes again. So there was no editing involved simply because I didn't know how to edit. And what's interesting is when I started editing my content, when I started using Sony Vegas and I removed unedited from the titles, the sales went down. And so I had to go back in and add unedited to the titles because that really increased sales because people want the unedited version of everything because they're concerned you're going to take the really good content out. And so that's kind of how I got involved. And so um, what you got to see is that you're going to go from place to place to place. If you got a goal to make seven figures, which I do, I 100% want to build a seven-figure business. What you should do is be very, very rigid in the goal, but be flexible in the vehicle for getting there. And so you might, as you're doing things and learning things, what's going to happen is you're going to start out in one niche and you're probably going to end up in another niche. You might also start out selling courses and end up selling coaching, or you might start out selling coaching and end up making a lot of revenue selling courses. And so you want to be rigid in your goal but flexible in your approach, and just know that luck is going to play a very, very big role, and know that when things don't work out, a lot of times they lead to other bigger breakthroughs. And the big thing that I learned from all of this is, you know, the more failures you have, I mean, as painful as every single one of them are, they're just preparing you for the next breakthrough. And you've just got to understand that that's going to take you to the next level. But we appreciate you watching. Do me a huge favor. If you haven't taken a look at it yet, definitely sign up or take a look at the Manny Talavera Inner Circle. There's a link below. You can get quite a bit of courses and content from me for a very, very low amount of money. And we're delivering new content all the time. Every month we're releasing new things. But I appreciate you all watching, and we will see you all on the next video. And thanks a lot.